Hi guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing a new series. It's called Looking Back at the DCEU. So today I've made four parts of the first one. Today I'm going to go through the Zack Snyder era. So looking back at the DCEU, I know a lot of people don't like the DCEU because of what they made it into. Um, there was so much potential it had, but yeah, today I'm going to go what went wrong with it, and yeah, so here's the first part where I'm going to talk about the Zack Snyder era. Where today I'm strictly going to talk about the movies that Zack Snyder was involved in. Um, then I'll do part 2 and 3 and 4. I will do part 5, but I might wait till Aquaman comes out in December and I'll do it. So yeah, let's get into it. So yeah, now you're probably asking what is the DCU? Well, the DCEU stands for DC Extended Universe. It's an American media franchise, a shared universe centered on a series of superhero films and television series appeared produced by DC Studios and distributed by Warner Bros. Pictures. It is based on characters that appear in American comic books published by DC Comics. The DCU also includes comic book shorts, novels, and video games, like the original DC universe in comic books. The DC was established by crossing over common plot elements, settings, cast, and characters. Warner Bros. Had plans to bring various DC comic superheroes together in films since 2002, when Wolfgang Peterson was set to direct a crossover of the Batman Superman film franchises. After a planned Justice League film was put on hold in 2008, and initial plans were scrapped due to the critical and commercial disappointment of the 2011 Green Lantern, Warner Bros. Established its shared universe in 2013. The DCU began with the film Man of Steel, a reboot of Superman films, followed by Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice, which serves as a reboot of the Batman film series. These films were followed by more than a dozen films and was extended to include television series for the streaming service HBO Max in 2020, beginning with Peacemaker, born a restructuring of DC Studios, and appointment of James Gunn Peter Safran in 2020. The franchise will be largely rebooted with the release of The Flash on June 16, 2030, leading to the DC Universe films and television planned by Gunn and Safran, though the original DCU will conclude with the release of Aquaman Lost Kingdom, December 2023. The DCEU is currently the ninth highest grossing film franchise of all time, having grossed over 6.3 billion per box office. Its highest grossing from Aquaman at 1.15 billion worldwide and became the highest grossing DC Comics based film to date. Reception to franchise has generally been mixed among critics and fans. So today we're gonna about what went wrong with it. So let's get into it. So due to the success of the MCU, which I think they were on they had 5 movies up until the Avengers, which made 1.5 billion worldwide. Warner Brothers decided people were like, hey, when are DC gonna do cinematic universe? And they tried in 2000 and around 2007, around 2007, they did Justice Immortal, and this was going to be the start of their universe. But this is the only photo I have of it with them in the costumes. Um, there's no footage of it. This was going I don't know. Yeah, this was going to be directed by George Miller, and he had Armie Hammer, DJ Cutrone, Alan Brody, Megan Gale, and it had Common, and yeah. So this was going to start filming, but the reason why it didn't happen was because of the Writers Guild strike that happened in 2008, and also Christopher Nolan, who was in the Dark Knight movies at the time, he didn't want any other iteration of Batman outside his one, so thus this was cancelled. And 2011, we had Green Lantern, directed by Martin Campbell and starring Ryan Reynolds as Hal Jordan. This received negative reviews due to the story, the CGI effects, and yeah. So this was their first plan for a DC universe, but then due to this success, due to this movie not bombing and making around 200 million on a $200 million budget, they cancelled any plans for a sequel. So yeah, they decided to start the reboot Superman, have that start the DC Extended Universe. So Man of Steel was a superhero film based on DC Comics character Superman, directed by Zack Snyder. The story was developed by David S. Goyer and producer Christopher Nolan. The film serves as a reboot of the Superman film series, depicting Carol's origin story as the first installment in the DC Extended Universe. In the film, Clark Kent discovers that he is a superpowered alien that he is a superpowered alien from the planet Krypton. He assumes the role of mankind's protector, Superman, making the choice to face General Gordon and prevent him from destroying humanity. Development began in 2008, where Warner Bros. Took pictures from comic book writers, screenwriters, and directors, opting to reboot the franchise. In 2009, a court ruling was on Jerry Siegel's family recapturing the rights to Superman's origins and Super's copyright. The decision stated that Warner Bros. Did not owe the family additional royalties from previous films. But if they did not begin production of Superman film by 2011, then the Schuster and Siegel estates would be able to sue for lost revenue on an unproduced film. Nolan pitched Goya's idea after story discussion on The Dark Knight Rises. Snyder was hired as a film director in 2010. Principal photography began in 2011 in West Chicago, Illinois, before moving to Vancouver and Plano, Illinois. And yeah, so directed by Zack Snyder. Following the success of The Dark Knight trilogy, they wanted Christopher Nolan to direct this movie. He said no. They went to Ben Affleck. He also said no. And yeah, due to the Dark Knight trilogy, they said this tone could be perfect for Superman, and that was a mistake because Superman is actually a light-hearted character, and the darkness works with Batman. It doesn't work with Superman. So let's go for the cast. So we had Henry Cavill as Superman, Amy Adams as Lois Lane, Lawrence Fishburne as Perry White, Michael Shannon as General Zod, Kevin Costner as Jonathan Kent, Diane Lane as Martha Kent, Ayat Zura as Laura, Christopher Maloney as Nathan Hardy, and Russell Crowe as Jor-El. And this movie, this movie is good. I know a lot of people don't like it. So yeah, this movie's okay. I think it's good for what it is. Like, I know people don't like it as a Superman movie, but I think it's good for what it is. So yeah, this Man of Steel is good. I love it. It has good action. The score is good by Hans Zimmer. I love the effects in it. And yeah, I think it's good. I think the problems I have with it is that there's no chemistry between Henry Cavill and Amy Adams. I love Zod, and everything about Zod was good. Everything about Fire was as good as well. And yeah, so no, still, and yeah, so when it was released June 14, 2013, it had a 56% on Rotten Tomatoes, and yeah, so it only made $668 million on a $200 million to $225 million budget. Critics felt the film was visually appealing. I can see because we're not enough to overcome its descent into generic blockbuster territory, and it right over Cavill's performance as Superman. It grossed on $668 million, becoming the ninth highest grossing film of 2013. As direct sequel under various stages of development since 2014 was cancelled in 2022 for the restructuring of DC Films as DC Studios. So yeah, this was though Man of Steel wasn't supposed to start a universe. It made enough for Warner Brothers to maybe start a cinematic universe, and they did. And they released this slate, which you can see had Man of Steel, BvS, Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, Justice League Part 1, The Flash, Aquaman, entire DC movie, Shazam, Justice League Part 2, and entire DC movie, and Cyborg, and Green Lantern Corps. That movie became Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice. This movie was a follow-up to Man of Steel, and it's the second film in the DC Extended Universe. And yeah, so this was announced during the Comic-Con, and yeah, so BvS was the first live-action movie to have Batman and Superman in a movie, and this was also a reboot of the Batman franchise. This was announced during Comic-Con, and I will show you that video. So I'll show you that video now.
The one man beat you.
Whoa! What? What? What?
There are no words, you guys. Thank you so much for sitting through the Warner Brothers panel. This was such an amazing experience. I will see you guys later. Thanks to Warner Brothers. Thanks a lot for the first part of the panel. I'm Chris Hardwick at Nerdist. I will see you guys later. Bye.
So yeah, it was announced at Comic-Con, and So let's get so basically in the film, criminal mastermind Lex Luthor manipulates Batman into a primitive battle with Superman, who Luthor is obsessed with destroying, and yeah, so this starred um So the film was announced at the 2013 San Diego Comic-Con after the release of Man of Steel. Snyder stated that the film would take inspiration from the Batman comic book series, The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller, but clarified that it would follow an original premise. The incarnation of Batman in the film is different from the character's previous portrayal by Christian Bale in the Dark Knight trilogy, serving as a semi-cube of the character. The film is also inspired by narrative elements from the death of Superman. Pre-production began at East Los Angeles College in October 2013, and principal photographer died in May 2014 in Detroit. Additional filming also took place in Illinois and New Mexico, cocooned that December. So this starred Ben Affleck as Batman, Henry Cavill as Superman, Amy Adams as Lois Lane, Lawrence Fishburne as Perry White, Jeremy Irons as Alfred, Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor, Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, Holly Hunter as Senator Finch, and this had cameos of Ray Fisher as Cyborg, Ezra Miller as The Flash, and Jason Momoa as Aquaman. And this movie had 29% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it made $873 million on $253 million budget, which is not bad, but a movie starring Batman vs Superman, this should have made $1 billion easily. And it didn't help the fact that this came out around the same year, but see if Civil War came out, and that made well over $1 billion. And when you have Iron Man and Captain America making more money than Batman vs Superman, yeah, that was the problem. So yeah, so Batman vs Superman, following a strong debut that set new box office records, the film experienced a historical drop in the second weekend and never recovered, despite grossing $873.6 million, making it the seventh highest gross film in 2016. It performed below expectations and to generate unfavorable reviews from critics. An extended cut dubbed Ultimate Edition features 31 minutes of additional footage and was released on home media 4 months later in 2016. Now, the Ultimate Edition was better received. Our critics said it would have been better with the additional footage, and I actually agree. So that is Man vs Superman, which I actually like this movie. It's not as good as Man of Steel, but I like it for what it was. There's problems with it. I don't think they should have introduced the Justice League via an email, and Doomsday shouldn't have been in this movie. I don't like how it's a mixture of Dark Knight Returns and the Death of Superman. Death of Superman shouldn't have been in this movie. And yeah, that's pretty much my problem with the BvS. So yeah, that same year we got announcement that they were going to do a Suicide Squad movie. Now, Suicide Squad was the third film in the DC Extended Universe. And in the film, a secret government agency led by Amanda Waller recruits a prison supervillains to execute dangerous Black Ops missions and save the world from a popular threat in exchange for reduced sentences. This was directed by David Ayer, and this starred Will Smith. Jared Leto. Will Smith as Deadshot, Jared Leto as the Joker, Joel Kinnaman as Rick Flag, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, Jay Hernandez as El Diablo, Adewale Adeoye Abaji as Killer Croc, Ike Barinholtz, Scott Eastwood, Karen Fukuyama as Katana, and Cara Delevingne as Enchantress. Now, this movie was so by February 2009, the Suicide Squad film was in development at Warner Brothers. Ayer signed on to write and direct in September 2014, and by October, the casting process had begun. Press photography began in Toronto, Ontario on April 13, 2015, with additional filming in Chicago ended in August that November that year. And I remember when the trailer came, I had the Bohemian Rhapsody, but due to the backlash around vs Superman, Warner Bros had cold feet, so they basically just they took the cut to a trailer house and they edited the whole movie, and they left David Ayer. Lots of stuff was left on the cutting room floor, and yeah, so yeah, it had a 26% Rotten Tomatoes, and it made $746 million on $175 million budget, which is actually good. Following a strong debut that set new box office records, the film grossed over $746 million worldwide, making it the 10th highest gross from 2016. The film received negative reviews from critics with criticism aimed at its script and editing, while the performances, makeup effects, humor, action sequences, and soundtrack were praised. it was followed by Small Birds of Prey, starring Robbie, and a standalone sequel, Suicide from 2021, with Robbie, Kinnaman, Davis, and Courtney returning. I will get to them in part 2. And yeah, the Suicide Squad. People are still asking for the air cut, which I don't think the air cut would change. If we get it, I think maybe on Blu-ray, I would one happy buy it. But yeah, so next after that we had Wonder Woman. Now Wonder Woman is the 4th installment in the DC Extended Universe, and it's this was the 4th installment in the DC EU, and this was directed by Patty Jenkins, and basically it is the second theatrical film featuring Wonder Woman debut Batman vs. Dawn Justice. In Wonder Woman, the Amazon Prince Diana says how to start World War One, believing the conflict was started by the long-time enemy of Amazon's Ares. After American pilot and spy Steve Trevor crash lands on the island, Tim was going to inform her about it. So, this starred Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, Chris Pine as Steve Trevor, Connie Nielsen as Hippolyta, Robin Wright as Entropy, Danny Helston, Eric Ludendorff, Elena Anaya as Dr. Poison, and David Thewlis as Eris. And this movie, development of a live-action Wonder Woman film began in 1996 with Ivan Reitman to produce and possibly direct. The production flown in development for many years. John Cohen, Todd Alcott, and Joss Whedon, among others, were also attached to the project at various points. Warner Brothers announced the film in 2010, and Jenkins signed on to direct in 2015. Inspiration for Wonder Woman was drawn from Wonder Woman creator William Moulton Marston's 1940 stories and George Perez's 1980 stories about Wonder Woman, as well as the New 52 unconditional character. This photography began on November 21st, 2015, with filming taking place in the United Kingdom, France, and Italy before filming on May 6, 2016. The 123rd anniversary of Marston's birth, additional filming took place in 2016. It had a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it made around $822 million, which I think probably could have made $1 billion, but due to lots of people don't like it, might still BvS and Suicide Squad. I think it ruined chances of it making $1 billion. The film received positive reviews from reviews, being known for its cultural significance, with praise for its direction, performances, visual story, action sequence, and musical score. The song criticism was there towards climax. It made $822 million, making it the 10th highest grossing film in 2017, and was the highest grossing film by a solo female director until it was overtaken by Hyman. And yeah, so we had the sequel 184. There was going to be a third film, but it was cancelled. So that's Wonder Woman. I love this movie. This is my second favorite DC movie after That Sounds Justice. This was my favorite DC movie. I still think it's probably the best solo movie we had, because I just think I think Shazam's probably a bit better, but this one's good. So yeah, so finally they had a win. Warner Brothers had a win. This basically told Warner Brothers that they didn't have to be dark and bleak. I thought the tone of Wonder Woman was fine, and I thought they could have kept it up, but no. Justice League came out in 2017. Now this movie is the 5th installment in DC Extended Universe, and this was directed by Zack Snyder. And in the film, following the events of Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice, Batman and Wonder Woman recruit the Flash, Aquaman, and Cyborg after the death of Superman to save the world from the catastrophic threat of Steppenwolf and his army of parademons. Now this movie had a troubled production. Let me just get into it. Warner Brothers began to develop a live action film Transcend with George Miller set to, but the project was cancelled due to production delays and budgetary concerns. Principal photography took place from April to October 2016. Zack Snyder was directed the movie, but he had to step down following the death of his daughter. Whedon was hired to oversee the remainder. Joss Whedon was who did the Avengers. What person to do it? He did the success of the Avengers. He was brought in to oversee the remainder of post-production, including writing and directing additional scenes, as well as reshooting a large portion of the film, which changed many aspects of it. Snyder ultimately retained sole credit as director, with an estimated production budget of $300 million. Justice League was one of the most expensive films ever made, and yeah, this starred Henry Cavill, Amy Adams, Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot, Ray Fisher, Ezra Miller, and Jason Momoa, and this also starred Amber Heard as Mira, J.K. Simmons as Commissioner Gordon, Kieran Hines as Steppenwolf, and yeah, so yeah, Justice League came out in November 2017. It had 39 million. It only had 39 million Rotten Tomatoes, and it made 657 million on a $300 million budget, making it a box office bomb. The film grossed over 657 million worldwide against an assumed break-even point of 750, become box office bomb. At least Warner Brothers Pictures an estimated 60 million. It received generally mixed reviews from critics, with criticism aimed towards the plot, pacing, generic villain, cinematography, and computer-generated imagery, while its human light tone were met with polarized responses. Although the action sequences and performances, particularly Godot and Miller, were praised, Whedon's major involvement during the post-production also received harsh criticism, especially from the cast, particularly Godot and Fisher. And yeah, we'll see this led to the Snyder Cut, which I will get to that in the next one. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the Zack Snyder era. Now, this is when DC was on thin ice, because it was after they failed to replicate the success of the MCU, and after Infinity War made over $1 billion in Black Panther, Warner Brothers was scratching their heads wondering what they were going to do with this universe. They were like, do we continue it, or do we just reboot the whole thing? So they decided to continue it but do a different approach, and that became the movie Aquaman. So that will be in part 2. So this is part 1. So guys, thanks for watching my video. Don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell. Now tomorrow I will be doing part 2. So yeah, so guys, thanks for watching my video. I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Hi guys, welcome back to part 2 of looking back at the DC. If you haven't seen part 1, you can check out my channel. I did that yesterday. Then tomorrow I'll be doing part 3 and part 4, and I said I'll do part 5 in December. So let's get into it. Welcome back. Today we're looking at the DCU part 2, the post-Zack Snyder era. For those who don't know, this is basically the post-Zack Snyder era is basically all the movies that came after Zack Snyder left DC, because after Justice League, the studio fired him because they didn't want to, because of the reception of Batman vs Superman and Justice League, and they fired him. So they used the death of his daughter to cover up them firing him. And these are basically all the films from Aquaman all the way to the Suicide Squad. So I'm gonna go through all of them. So yeah, so now before I do that, don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell. Now basically after Justice League, the DCU was pretty much a laughing stock. It was getting mocked for not being as successful as the MCU, but there's so much missed opportunity and potential. And these are some of the videos here. So example, we had Sad Affleck, so I'm going to go for it now.
Since reviews for the film have come out, and I don't know if you've had a chance to have a look at them, or like your response to those, or...
No, what are they saying?
Well, it's been getting a mixed response.
Yeah, so I'm sorry I had to mute it because it had music and I didn't want to get a copyright strike on it. So yeah, so and then there was more videos. So let's get into it.
Vision, what is your ideal future for this character? Is it Man of Steel 2? Is it a TV series? What is it, Henry?
Right now, I can't really talk about anything. What I do want is hope, optimism, and joy. Those three things are essential for the character.
There is no repairing the DCEU. How stupid are the people at Warner Bros.? No!
So basically, after all this, Warner Brothers was scratching their heads, wondering what were they going to do after the film of Justice League. Do they reboot it? Do they continue it? So they decided to continue it. So the Flash was supposed to come in 2018, but that got pushed back. And then so we only had one DC movie in 2018, and we had Aquaman. So yeah, this was the sixth film in the DC Extended Universe. This was directed by James Wan, and it starred Jason Momoa, Amber Heard, William Dafoe, Patrick Wilson, Dolph Lundgren, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, and Nicole Kidman. And basically, the film is basically Aquaman, who sets out to lead the underwater kingdom of Atlantis and stop his half brother Orn from uniting the Seven Kingdoms to destroy the surface world. And yeah, so this movie, this movie was development began in 2004, but did not gain traction until Man of Steel was released 2013. In April 2014, Beale and Kurt Johnston were hired to write competing scripts. One signed on as director in April 2015, and in July 2016, the film moved forward with Beale's screenplay. The main cast was confirmed through 2016 and early 2017. Principal photography began in Australia in May 2017, taking place at Village Roadshow Studios on the Gold Coast, Queensland, Australia, with additional production teams in Canada, into Italy, and Morocco. Filming concluded in the following October. Several vendors provided visual effects ranging from high detail hair simulations to the creation of CGI animals. And yeah, it had 65% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it was $1.148 billion worldwide, making it the highest grossing DC film, the highest grossing film based on a DC Comics character, the fifth highest grossing for 2018, and the 20th highest grossing film of all time. And yeah, so it made $1 billion where they desperately needed it, and it received mixed reviews. Some people said the story was a bit of a mess, and some of the CGI isn't good, but I think for what it is, I think it's okay. But yeah, even though it's average, I'm not a huge fan of the jokes. But yeah, Aquaman was successful, so we will be getting Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom this year, December. And also there was an animated series called Aquaman King of Atlantis. This was basically a trilogy on HBO Max of animated episodes. There were only 3 episodes. I haven't seen this, but yeah, this was on HBO Max, and it was going to be a trench movie, but they cancelled it, and we found out that was going to be a Black Manta movie, which I'm fine with. I don't think you could do a whole movie with the trench, and also I think that storyline with Black Manta is pretty much going to be used in Aquaman Lost Kingdom. So yeah, that's Aquaman. Yeah, 2019 we had Shazam, and so Shazam was the 7th film in the DC Extended Universe, and It was directed by David F. Sandberg. This stars Zachary Levi, Usher Angel, Mark Strong, Jack Dylan Grazer, and Jim Hansu. And the film follows teenager Billy Batson as he's chosen by the Asian Shazam to be his champion by saying the word Shazam, allowing him to transform into an adult superhero with various superpowers. Billy and his foster brother Freddie Freeman must discover Billy's new powers in order to stop the evil Dr. Thassavan and the Seven Deadly Sins. So development of a live-action Shazam film began at New Line Cinemas in the early 2000s, but was delayed for several years. The film went to pre-production in 2009 with Peter Siegel as director, John August as writer, and Dwayne Johnson being considered as the villain Shazam. But the production fell through. Johnson acts as an executive producer on Shazam. William Goldsman, Alec Sokolov, Joel Cohen, Bill Burge, and Jeff Johns, among others, were attached to the project as writers at various stages. The film was officially announced in 2014, with Johnson attached to star as either Shazam or Black Adam. In June 2017, he was cast to lead a solo Black Adam development project. Sandberg signed on to direct Shazam in February 2017, and Levi was cast that October, with Angel joining the following month. Principal photography began in Toronto in January 29, 2018, with most of the film shot at Pinewood Toronto Studios and wrapped on May 11th. And so it got 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it made $367 million on $367 million budget, which it was a success. And you'll see positive reviews on critics who praise Sandberg's direction, performances of Levi, Angel, and Grazer, as well as his generally light tone sense of fun. It was followed by the spin-off film Black Adam in 2022, which I'll get to that in part 4, and also a sequel, Shazam Through the Gods, which I will talk about that in part 4. But yeah, so I love Shazam, really good movie. I think it's probably the best solo movie we had. And yeah, so that's Shazam. So then 2020, we had Birds of Prey. Now, this was the 8th film in the DC Extended Universe. And this was directed by Kathy Yan. And this starred Margot Robbie, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Johnny Smollett, Rosie Perez, Chris Messina, L.A.J. Basco, and Ian McGregor. And so Robbie, who also serves as producer, pitched the idea for Birds of Prey to Warner Bros. in 2015. The film was announced in May 2016, with Hodson being hired to write the script that November, followed by Yan signing on to direct in 2018. The majority of the cast and crew were confirmed by December 2018. Principal photography lasted from January to April 2019 in downtown Los Angeles, part of Los Angeles Arts District, and sound stages at Warner Bros. Studios in Burbank, California. Additional filming took place in September 2019. It got 79% Rotten Tomatoes, and it made $205 million, which it was a box office bomb because it didn't make nowhere near his break-even point between 250 million, 300 million. The budget was 82 to 100 million, but I mean, I don't know, like, I think the problem with Birds of Prey is that it just didn't know what it wanted to be. Like, it was trying to be Harley Quinn movie and a Birds of Prey movie, and the marketing was terrible. They didn't know how to market that movie, and the trailers weren't telling you. The trailers weren't telling you what the movie was about. We had 2 trailers, and it wasn't telling you what it was about. And the marketing was terrible. Like, all the marketing, like, had the trailers, like I already mentioned, and then we had, and it was just the marketing that they used, like, and they called it Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. That was their mistake. They shouldn't have called it that. They should have just called it Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey, because no one knows who Birds of Prey are. But people know Harley Quinn is, and I think the reason why I didn't do it was that I feel like people just didn't like Suicide Squad 2016. And I feel like this came too late. The fact this came 4 years after Suicide Squad. And I feel like people just weren't a huge fan of this movie. So this movie coming out, it really... And I think also the fact is that it was rated R, which I think it was PG-13 with them more, because there was plenty of Harley Quinn fans, PG-13, who couldn't watch this movie because it was R-rated. And I feel like this movie could be PG-13. Just cut out some of the violence and most of the swearing. I think it probably could work as PG-13. But yeah, I honestly would have preferred a Gotham City Sirens movie with just Margot Robbie, Catwoman, and Poison Ivy. I would have wanted that. David A. was going to do that, but they went with Birds of Prey. But I'm fine with the movie. Now, there was going to be a Black Canary movie. I don't know if that's going to happen now. She was going to be in Batgirl before they cancelled it, but yeah. So that's Birds of Prey. It received positive reviews. And yeah, so also in 2020 we had Wonder Woman 1984. Now this was the ninth film in the DC Extended Universe. It's a standalone sequel to Wonder Woman. This was the first DCEU sequel, and this was directed by Patty Jenkins. It stars Gal Gadot, Chris Pine, Christian Wiig, Connie Nielsen, Pedro Pascal, and Robin Wright. And so discussions of a sequel began shortly after the release of the first film in June 2017, and the decision to proceed was confirmed the following month. Principal photography began June 13, 2018, with filming taking place at Warner Brothers Studios, Leavesden in England, as well as the District of Columbia and Northern Virginia in the US, London and Duxford in England, Tenerife and Fuerteventura in the Canary Islands, and Almeria. Production wrapped in December 2020 after 6 months shoot, with additional filming in July 2019. And Wonder Woman 1984 was originally scheduled for a wide theatrical release June 5th, 2020, but was delayed multiple times due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The film premiered on December 15, 2020 via the DC Fandom virtual platform and was released in the United States by Warner Brothers Pictures on December 25th, 2020. Both theatrical and via the HBO Max streaming service. And it had 58% Rotten Tomatoes, and it made 169 million. The reason why is because it was during the pandemic. I think maybe the pandemic probably could have done more. It received mixed reviews from critics who praised the direction, performances, visuals, action scenes, musical score, and escapist qualities. But yeah, so there were plans for Wonder Woman 3, but that got cancelled due to James Gunn and Peter Safran taking over the project. And we were going to get an Amazon's movie, but we will be getting a spin-off prequel series focusing on the Amazons called Paradise Lost, which is not connected to the DCEU Amazons. It's going to be something. Wonder Woman 84 is not my favorite. I kind of like the first one. And I was really looking forward to this movie, but yeah, it is what it is. So it's okay. I've not seen it since it came out. I might rewatch it again, but I just love Wonder Woman more, and it just sucked. I feel like this movie could have been good had they not have. I thought like they just gave Patty Jenkins too much freedom. But yeah, then 2021 we had Zack Snyder's Justice League, which this was the 10th film in the DC Extended Universe, and this was Zack Snyder's original version for the film prior to his departure from the production and subsequent studio. So Zack Snyder's Justice League. This movie was directed by Zack Snyder, and this starred Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa, Ray Fisher, Ezra Miller, Amy Adams, Jeremy Irons, Jesse Eisenberg, Diane Lane, J.K. Simmons, Amber Heard, William Dafoe, Connie Nielsen, Kieran Hines, and Ray Porter. And the whole history of Warner Bros. with this movie was released by Warner Bros. Pictures in 2017. Justice League had a difficult production. Its script underwent major changes before and during production between 2016 and 2017. In May 2017, Snyder stepped down during post-production following the death of his daughter, Autumn Snyder, and Joss Whedon was hired to finish the film, completing it as an uncredited director. Whedon oversaw reshoots and other changes that incorporated a brighter tone and more humor, or reducing the runtime significantly in accordance with the mandate from Warner Bros. The theatrical version was polarized critics and underperformed the box office. This is why Warner Bros. Opted to prioritize developing future films around individual characters with less regard for consistency and continuity within the wider shared universe. Many people express interest in Snyder's version of the film, which they often refer to as a Snyder Cut, although most industry insiders reported its release unlikely. Warner Bros. Moved ahead with it in February 2020. In May, Snyder announced it would be released as Zack Snyder's Justice League as a HBO Max original film. $70 million was spent to complete the visual effects, score, and editing, with new material being shot in October 2020. The release was originally planned as both a 6-episode miniseries and a long feature-length film, with the former concept being cancelled in January 2021, and releasing it as the latter. The film is dedicated to the memory of Autumn Snyder, and yeah, it got 71% on Rotten Tomatoes, and yeah, it didn't go in cinema, so there's no box office, but Dark Knight Justice was released on HBO Max in the United States on March 18, 2021. It became the fourth most streamed film on the platform that year. The film was widely considered superior to 2017 theatrical release, and critics praised Snyder's direction, visual style, action sequence performances, improvised characters, musical score, and balance of emotional weight and humor, although the runtime received some criticism. And I think it is clear that this one was much more superior to Joss Whedon's version. And I watched it when it came out, and I even got the DVD, I got the 4K, I even got a Blu-ray at one point, and I'm planning on getting a box set, the 4K box set that has Man of Steel, BvS, and Zack Snyder's Justice League. But yeah, this movie is good. This is my favorite DCEU movie, and I'm happy we got this movie. Like, if we didn't get this, like, I would have been fine if we didn't get the movie. But I'm happy we got to see Zack Snyder's vision, and yeah, so yeah, I'm happy we got this movie. You know, the thing with this movie is that all the toxic Snyder fans, because this movie came out, the fact that they have this movie now, they just got worse and stuff. Like, there was no toxic. There was, like, when like before the movie came out, there was some toxic fans, but it wasn't that much. It's after the movie came out that they started getting toxic and stuff. So yeah, overall, I think I'm just happy we got this movie. And yeah, so 2021 we had the Suicide Squad. Now this was the 10th movie, but this was the 11th movie in the DCEU. Um, so yeah, this was a standalone sequel to Suicide Squad, and this was directed by James Gunn, and yeah, so this starred yeah, so this starred Margot Robbie, Idris Elba, John Cena, Joel Kinnaman, Sylvester Stallone, Viola Davis, Jai Courtney, David Asmasian, Peter Capaldi, and Daniela Melchior, and yeah, so in the film, several convicts join a task force known as Suicide Squad in exchange for life sentences. They are sent to the South American island national on Corto Maltese to destroy all traces of the giant alien starfish Dora the Conqueror before it falls into the local government's control. And yeah, so David A. was set to return as director for Suicide Squad sequel by March 2016, but in December he chose to work on other projects. Warner Brothers considered replacements before hiring Gavin O'Connor. In September 2017, he left due to creative differences, and Gunn was hired in October 2018 to write and direct the film. After being temporarily fired by Disney and Marvel Studios as director of Guardians of the Galaxy Vol. 3, he drew inspiration from war film and John Ostrander's 1980s Suicide Squad comic, and explored new characters in a story separate from the first film's narrative, though some cast members do return from the Suicide Squad. Filming took place from September 2019 to February 2020, primarily in Atlanta, Georgia, as well as Colón, Panama, and Porto, Portugal. The film had the biggest sets ever built for Warner Bros. Production. It was released on HBO Max and theaters simultaneously because of the day and day, and it got 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it got 168 million. The reason why was because of day and day. It received positive reviews. We praised the performances, Gunn's writing and direction, the action sequences, soundtrack, and visual style, with many deeming it a significant improvement over its predecessor. The film became the most screened DC film on HBO Max, but underperformed at the box office, which was a tribute to factors such as the COVID-19 pandemic, the film's availability on HBO, and its relationship to the first Suicide Squad. Peacemaker, spin-off series, television series, starring Cena, debut on HBO Max, which I'll talk about in part 4. And 2 other spin-offs in development, including Waller. We'll get Waller, that'll be part of DC Studios. There is another spin-off series, which I don't know what will be called, but yeah, so this movie is great, much better than the 2016 one. It's much better. I love all the characters. James Gunn did a good job. And yeah, so obviously after this, when he was done with Peacemaker, Marvel Studios that hired him back to do Guardians of the Galaxy Vol. 3, which we had it this year, which I was happy we got it. And yeah, now he's running DC Studios, which I'll talk about that in part 4. But yeah, that's it with part 2. Now, part 3, I'll be talking about the Elseworlds, which I know it's not technically part of the DC, but it kind of part of it because that's what Walter Hamada wanted to do. He wanted to do Joker, and then he wanted to do the Batman. And then we're getting sequels to both of those movies, the Batman 2, Joker Full of Juice. And yeah, so this is part 2. I think this era is probably the best era we had of the DCEU, much better than the Zack Snyder era. But I mean, the Zack Snyder era, there's probably like 2 films in there that's actually good. But I think most of these were all good, except one with 94. But yeah, so this is part 2 of looking back at the DCEU. And yeah, so tomorrow I will be doing part 3, which will be about the DC Elseworlds. So yeah, so guys, so much for my video. I'll see you next one. Bye. Hi guys, welcome back to part 3, looking back at the DC. Today we're looking at DC Elseworlds. So let's get into it. Welcome back to the next episode. Okay, DCU. This is the third part. If you haven't seen the other 2, you can check out my channel. So, before I do that, don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell. Rehouse algorithm. So, if you haven't seen part 1 and 2, you can check them out. This is part 3. This is about the Elseworlds. I want to talk about the Elseworlds because that's kind of part of the DCEU. Was the Elseworlds. So let's just get into it. So, after DC was getting success with Aquaman, we got Joker, which was a neo-noir psychological thriller film directed by Todd Phillips, starring Joaquin Phoenix, Rob De Niro, Zazie Beetz, and Francis Conroy. Now Joker was Phillips conceived Joker in 2016 and wrote the script with Silver throughout 2017. The 2 were inspired by 1970s character studies and the films of Martin Scorsese, particularly Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy, who was initially attached to the project as producer. The film loosely adapted elements from Batman: The Killing Joke, but Phillips and Silver otherwise did not look to specific comics for inspiration. Phoenix became attached in February 2018 and was cast that July. While the majority of the cast signed on by August, principal photography took place in New York City, New Jersey City, and Newark from September to December 2018. Joker is the first live-action theatrical Batman to receive an R rating from the Motion Picture Association. It got 69% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it got 1.74 billion. People thought this movie was dangerous because they actually thought people go and shoot, because there's a Dark Knight Rises, there was a shooting at a screening, and they thought the Joker was going to do that, but but that didn't happen. The film received polarizing reviews from critics, with praise directed towards Phoenix's performance, Phillips' direction, a visual style, editing, musical, cinematography, while the tone portrayal of mental illness and handling of violence divided opinion. The film was a box office success, set records for an October release. It grossed over $1 billion, the first R-rated film to do so, and became the 6th highest from 2019 US theatrical run. The film also received numerous records. I like Joker. I really think it's a good movie. I'm really looking forward to the sequel. And so after the success of Joker, we will be getting a sequel called Joker Full of Juice, which will be out in 2024. This stars Joaquin Phoenix, Lady Gaga, Brendan Gleeson, and Catherine Keener. And so I'm really looking forward to Joker Full of Juice. I'm looking forward to Joaquin Phoenix. I'm looking forward to seeing Lady Gaga's Harley Quinn. And that'll be out in October 4th, 2024. And I'm looking forward to that. Then after that, we have the Batman. Now, the Batman was a superhero film based on DC's comics character Batman. The film was directed by Matt Reeves, and this was a reboot of the Batman franchise. So this was directed by Matt Reeves, and this starred Robert Pattinson, Paul Dano, Zoe Kravitz, Jeffrey Wright, Colin Trevorrow, Peter Sarsgaard, Colin Farrell, and Andy Serkis. And the film sees Batman, who has been fighting crime in Gotham for 2 years, undercover corruption while pursuing the Riddler, a serial killer who targets Gotham's corrupt elite. So development began after Ben Affleck was cast as Batman in DC Extended Universe. In 2013, Affleck signed on to direct, produce, co-write, and star in the Batman, but had reservations about the project and dropped out. Reeves took over and rewrote the story, removing the DCEU connections. He sought to explore Batman's detective side more than previous films, drawing inspiration from the films Alfred Hitchcock and the New Hollywood Era, and comics such as Year One and The Long Halloween and Ego. Pattinson was cast in May 2019, with further casting in late 2019. Filming began in the United Kingdom in January 2020, but was halted in March by the COVID-19 pandemic. It resumed later in the year and concluded in Chicago in March 2021. And it got 85% Rotten Tomatoes and made $770 million worldwide. The film received positive reviews, and it made $770 million, making it the 7th highest grossing film of 2022. It was a commercial success. The film was nominated for 3 Academy Awards and 95th Academy Awards and received numerous other accolades. So the Batman is intended to launch a Batman shared universe. We will be getting a Penguin show starring Colin Farrell in 2024 on HBO Max, and then in 2025 we'll have the Batman Part 2. Now, this isn't the poster, this is a fan art, but I couldn't find, there was no poster, so I just decided to use a fan art one. I would really want Mr. Freeze to show up in the sequel, so yeah, that'll be coming in 2025, October 3rd, 2025. So yeah, that's pretty much it with the Elseworlds. There's not really much to talk about. I just wanted to make this because I wanted people to know about the Elseworlds, because this was something they did outside the DCEU. And yeah, so the final part will be out tomorrow, and that'll be about new adventures. So that will go over pretty much the latest films and the whole Discovery merger and everything. So yeah, and the James Gunn and Peter Safran, them coming on. And yeah, so guys, so much for my video. I'll see you next time. Bye. Hi guys, welcome back to the next episode of looking back at the DCEU. This is part 4, New Adventures. So let's get into it. Welcome back. This is the 4th final part of looking back at the DCU. We could check the previous from my chat. I will do a part 5 in December when Aquaman Lost Kingdom comes out. So now this is called New Adventures. Now here's where I pretty much talk about the final remaining movies and the change in Warner Brothers management. So let's get into it. So I forgot to mention this in my previous video. 2018, AT&T bought they merged with Warner Brothers shortly after the release of Justice League in 2018. And yeah, so it was run by Ann Sarnoff. Toby Emmerich was already there, and Jason Kilar. And then DC Films, the studio, we had a new president, Walter Hamada, who was going to oversee all the DC projects. And yeah, so from Aquaman all the way to Suicide Squad, and also 2022 we had Peacemaker. Now this was a television series created by James Gunn, and this was the first DCEU TV show. Is currently the only DC Extended TV series and spin-off to the Suicide Squad. It's set after the events of the film. The series further explores gigantic killer Christopher Smith, and So the star John Cena, Daniel Brooks, Freddie Stromer, Chuck Woody, Ewigu, Jennifer Holland, Steve Agee, Robert Patrick, and Viola Davis. So yeah. So after recovering from his injuries he suffered during the Suicide Squad, Christopher Smith is forced to join the mysterious Argus Black Ops Squad Project Butterfly. They're on a mission to identify and eliminate parasitic butterfly-like creatures who have taken over human bodies. It got a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it received positive reviews. And it was 8 episodes. You can check out HBO Max, and I liked it. I enjoyed it for what it is, and I like Peacemaker. We'll be getting a season 2, and yeah, I really like the show. It's sad this was the only DCU TV show, but we're gonna get plenty in the new universe. So yeah. Then 2022 we had Black Adam. Now this was the 11th film in the DC Extended Universe. This is directed by Jean-Michel Serra, and it starred Dwayne Johnson, Aldous Hodge, Noah Centineo, Sarah Shahi, Marwan Kenzari, Quintessa Swindell, and Pierce Brosnan. And it's about Black Adam, an Asian superhuman who is released from his magic imprisonment by a group of archaeologists to free the nation of Kandar from the crime syndicate Intergang, whose local leader plans to obtain a nation relic called the Crown of Sabak to take control of the nation. And this was in production since so Johnson was attached to Shazam early in development and confirmed to portray the villain Black Adam in September 2014. But the producers at Johnson urging later decided to give the character his own film. This is Kyle was hired in October 2017. Colette Serra joined in June 2019, with a planned release date of December 2021. But this timeline was delayed by the COVID-19 pandemic. An additional casting took place over the next year, including 4 members of the Justice Society of America, along with a script being rewritten by Haynes and Norsher Vanni. Principal photography took place from April to August 2021 at Thriller Studios in Atlanta, Georgia, and also in Los Angeles. And it got 38% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it made $393 million on a $192 million budget, making a box office bomb. The film received mixed reviews from critics, and it was able to box office bomb after marketing distribution costs were factored in. Now, I like Black Adam; it's okay for what it was, but I think the story was a bit weak, and I did not like the villain. But I think it's okay for what it is. I think this would have been good had Black Adam showed up in Shazam and Fury of the Gods, but we could have had Shazam versus The Rock. Could have had Shazam, Black Adam, and Superman. You could blame Dwayne Johnson for that, because if he just played ball, we could have had it. But no, he just wanted to make it by himself. And the fact he wanted the whole DCEU to revolve around Black Adam, and I'm kind of happy his plans didn't go through, because if it was the old regime, they would have let him do what he wanted. And I'm kind of happy that he didn't. So yeah, you can tell his ego and stuff. So yeah, so Black Adam. Then in 2021, they merged with Discovery, and so AT&T pretty much sold Warner Brothers at a loss, and then Discovery was going to merge with Warner Brothers, and the new CEO was going to be David Zaslav. Now, he was already at Discovery, and he just moved over to Warner Brothers, and he was going to be in charge of all the Warner Brothers IP, specifically DC. He wanted to overhaul all of DC, the current plans, and he cancelled Batgirl, which was already done. He's received criticism for removing animation from HBO Max and removing other stuff from HBO Max. He cancelled Batgirl, and he cancelled Wonder Twins, which the reason why Batgirl got so much criticism was because Batgirl was already done. Like, the movie was already shot, and it was just about to finish editing and stuff, and this as I pulled the plug on it, and I feel bad for Leslie Gray. I hope we see this movie one day, but it sucks we don't get to see this movie. And he cancelled too early, but I'm gonna say this right now: if The Flash does well, if it makes over $800 million, I think Batgirl is on the table. If The Flash does well, then we will get a Flash sequel. Ezra Miller stays as the Flash. We will get the Batgirl movie, and Batman Beyond will happen with Michael Keaton. So yeah, it's such a shame. Michael Keaton was going to be in this movie, and Brendan Fraser was going to be in this. We're going to have Leslie Grace, and it's such we don't get to see Batgirl. But yeah, so then we had Shazam, which came out in 2023. It was it's the first DC movie this year. It's the 12th installment, and this was directed by David F. Sandberg, and this starred Zachary Levi, Asha Angel, Jack Dylan Grazer, Rachel Zegler, Adam Brody, DJ Katrina, Russ Butler, Grace Caroline Curry, Megan Good, the Jim and Hound Sue, Lucy Liu, and Helen Mirren. A sequel to Shazam began development shortly after that film's release in April 2019, with Hayden returning as writer and Morgan joining soon after a revised Galen screenplay. Sandberg and Levi were also set to return by that December. The title and the rest of returning cast were confirmed in August 2020, with Zegler, Mirren, and Luke cast as the daughters of Atlas in May 2021. The film began that May in Atlanta, Georgia, and concluded in August. It got 49% on Rotten Tomatoes and only made $133 million worldwide, making the box office bomb against a production budget of $125 million. Which it sucks this movie didn't do well. Like, I think the reason why I think Warner Bros. Didn't market it, which is kind of sad. And I don't think this is the end we see Zachary Levi. I think it's possible he could show up in Peacemaker season 2. Though an actual third Shazam movie, I don't think it will happen. We have to wait a long time until we get another Shazam movie. But yeah, and right after this, we got a new studio. We got DC Studios, which is separate from Warner Brothers, and James Gunn and Peter Safran. They were announced as the CEOs of DC Studios. Now, this was shortly after the release of Black Adam, but yeah, so yeah, and this is pretty much a slate. Now we're through the slate. So we have Shazam, Flash, Blue Beast, Aquaman. That's the old timeline. Then we have Creature Commandos, Waller, Paradise Lost. Those are TV series. Got Brave and the Bold, Superman Legacy, Booster Gold, Lantern, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, and Swamp Thing, and Authority. Most of these are TV shows. Some of them are movies. So the new DC universe will start in 2025 with Superman Legacy, and yeah, so we're gonna have all these movies and all these TV shows. I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, I'll put DC. I think after Guardians of the Galaxy 3, I think DC's in great hands, because I think James Gunn understands the comics. He understands the characters. I'm looking forward to what he does. I'm looking forward to my legacy. So yeah, and that is it. That is part 4. That is it. Looking back at the DCEU, I look back at the DC. I feel like the DC would have been good had they not rushed in and tried to catch up with Marvel. I feel like there was so much potential, and there were so many good actors and there were good moments in it. I just feel like Warner Brothers just had cold feet and they changed plans on it so quickly. But yeah, now with James Gunn, we're going to get a proper DC universe. And that's pretty much it. Now we'll do a part 5 when Aquaman comes out. And that's pretty much it. That is it. We're looking back at the DCUs, guys. So much for my video. I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Alright guys, welcome back to part 5 of looking back at the DCEU. This is the final part. I did the first 4. You can check on my channel. And it was a long time. I had to wait a long time to do this, because I was going to wait till Aquaman Lost Kingdom come out, then let's come out, and the DC's done. I'm finally going to talk about the final movie, so let's get into it. Welcome back to the next episode, looking back at DCU. Today we're talking about the final movies. Before I do, don't forget to subscribe and notification bell for his algorithm. So yeah, today we're going to talk about the final 3 movies. So let's get into it. So in 2023, we just had Shazam Through the Gods. Then after that, we had The Flash, which is a superhero film. It's based on a DC Comics character of the same name. It's the 13th installment in DC Extended Universe. And In the film, Barry travels back in time to prevent his mother's death, which unintentionally results in his being stranded in alternate past. It's directed by Annie Muschietti and it stars Ezra Miller, Sasha Calais, Michael Shannon, Maribel Verdú, Ron Livingston, Antuji Tron, Kiersey Clemens, Ben Affleck, and Michael Keaton. Now, this movie, development of the film began on The Flash in the late 1980s with multiple writers and directors attached to the project in 2014. The film was then redeveloped as part of the DC with Miller cast as the title character. Multiple directors were attached to the film over the following years, with Seth Grainsmith, Rick Famuyiwa, and the duo of Daly and Goldstein, all upon a project of creative differences. Muschietti and Hodson joined the film in July 2019, and pre-production began in 2020. The film is influenced by the comic books from Flashpoint, featuring other DC characters such as Sasha Calle, Supergirl, and both Ben Affleck's and Keaton's version of Batman. Principal photography took place from April to October 2021, and Warner Bros. Studio leaves then and on location around United Kingdom. I had 63% on Rotten Tomatoes, an 83% audience score, and it made $270 million at the box office, and making it one of the biggest box office bombs of all time, with a projection of $200 million loss for Warner Brothers. Most of that could be following the multiple delays by director changes, the COVID-19 pandemic, post-production setbacks, and controversy surrounding Ezra Miller. The film received mixed reviews from critics who praised its humor, acting sequences, and performances, but criticized the visual effects and third act. And I saw this 3 times in cinema, and I actually enjoyed this movie. A lot of people hate this movie. I actually really enjoyed it. I really think it was good. Some of the CGI is kind of not like, especially the Corona Ball things, but it didn't bother me when I first watched it. I loved the action. I thought Ezra Miller did a good job playing 2 characters. I loved Sasha Calle, like Michael Keaton, Ben Affleck was good, Zod was good, all of them were good, and Fiora, and yes, that's the Flash. So after that, we had Blue Beetle. Now, Blue Beetle is a 2023 American superhero film based on DC's comic character, Jaime Reyes. Blue Beetle is the 14th installment of DC Universe. In the film, recently graduated Jaime Reyes is bestowed with an armor that grants him superpowers after being accidentally chosen by an ancient alien relic known as the Scarab. It stars Zolo. This was directed by Andrew Manasoto, and it stars Zolo Maradona, Adriana Barraza, Raul Max Trujillo, Damian Alcazar, Susan Sarandon, and George Lopez. It got 78% on Rotten Tomatoes, 91% audience score, and it made $129 million at the box office. It was a box office bomb. On a budget of $125 million, become the lowest grossing film in the DCEU. So development of a film featuring Reyes began by the end of November 2018 with Dana Alcar attached as screenwriter. Soto was hired to write the script in February 2021 for the streaming of HBO Max. Medina was cast that August, and the film was changed to have a theatrical release in December. Further casting took place in early 2022, before filming took place from late May to mid-June at Wilder Studios, Decatur, Georgia, as well as El Paso, Texas, and Puerto Rico. Now, I actually liked Blue Beetle. I thought it was a good movie. I saw it one time in the cinema, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. It's such a shame it didn't do well, but this isn't the end we see Blue Beetle, because James Gunn said he will use the character in the DC Universe. I don't know if we'll get Blue Beetle 2. He might show up in the Booster Gold TV show, because they do have a partnership, like friendship together, so we might see him in the Booster Gold TV show. If not, maybe Blue Beetle 2. He might show up, we don't know. And so, yeah, then finally, in 2023, and this is the first time we've had 4 DC movies in the same year. We had Aquaman Lost Kingdom, which is a 2023 American superhero film based on the DC character Aquaman. It is a sequel to Aquaman, the 15th and final installment in the DC Extended Universe. And in the film, Arthur must work with his half-brother Orm to prevent Black Manta from killing his family and using the cursed Black Trident to overheat the world while searching for the lost 7th Kingdom of the Seas. It was directed by James Wan. It stars Jason Momoa, Patrick Wilson, Amber Heard, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, Randall Park, Tamara Morrison, Dolph Lundgren, Martin Short, and Nicole Kidman. And The Momoa pitched a story for an Aquaman sequel, and during production of the first one, One did not want to rush a sequel, but agreed in January 2019 to oversee development. Johnson McGoldrick signed on to return as screenwriter a month later, and One was confirmed to be returning as director in August 2020. He said the film would expand on Aquaman's world building and announced the sequel's title in June 2021. Filming began at the end of the month and concluded in January 2022, taking place in the United Kingdom, Hawaii, Los Angeles, and New Jersey, with additional filming in New Zealand. And it has a 36% on Rotten Tomatoes, 79% audience score, and currently only has 30 million. It just came out. Right now, it's made 120.1 million at the box office. And yeah, this is the final DC. I saw it twice. I might see it a third time in cinema, and I thought it was great. I don't think it's better than Aquaman 1. I do think there's problems with the story. I think Black Manta was good. I thought the chemistry between Jason Momoa and Patrick Wilson was good. And Mira has no screen time. Now, I know a lot of people saying she wasn't going to have a lot of screen time. But she has, I think, 20 minutes worth of screen time. And I thought the visuals were good. The music was good. The composer returns, Rupert Gregson Williams. And I thought it was great. Now, is it a good ending to the DCU? No, I think it's an underwhelming finale to DCU. But yeah, this wasn't intended to be the final movie of the DCU. This was just a movie James Wan wanted to do, and it turned out to be the last movie in the DCU. So yeah, that's pretty much what the DCU. Now, obviously, I talked in the last video that James Wan and Peter Safran are running DC, and we had a whole DC slate, which I talked about in the last part. And yeah, so this is all we have: Creature Commandos, Waller, Superman Legacy, Lanterns, The Authority, Paradise Lost, The Brave and the Bold, Booster Gold, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, and Something. And so yeah, and then we have Superman Legacy in 2025, and then also in 2024 we're gonna have Creature Commandos, and that's pretty much it. That is looking back at the DCEU. Now that stuff is the final part. So guys, so much for my video. I'll see you next video. Bye.